This is lesson 6 in the JavaEE Enterprise Web Application series, and we're working on our auction site here. And today we're going to learn how to upload a photo. When somebody creates a product listing, they will likely want to upload photos from their phone or from their computer to show whatever it is that they're selling. So there are several different ways to do this. We're actually going to we're going to use an easy way. We're going to actually use a third-party plugin tool, which I have included with the lesson files. Rather than inventing this from scratch, we're going to take a tool that does some pretty cool things with photos and makes our uploading of a photo a bit simpler for us. The tool that we're going to use is called HTML5 image upload. Um, so you can see it's just a little plugin that we downloaded here, and you'll see it has some cool little tools that we can use. So this plugin uses some HTML5 functionality. Most browsers today support most of the HTML5 um, different tools and tags and things like that. However, I wanted to show you one quick little tool. If you're working with HTML5, um, there is a website that you can use. It's called Can I Use? So if you're implementing something specific in HTML5 and you want to know what browsers support it, you can use this caniuse.com. The tool that we're using that this plugin uses is called Canvas. Canvas is just a tag that um, basically shows a rectangular block and that you can manipulate graphics on it. It's a really powerful HTML5 tag. And so we're going to see what browsers support Canvas. So you just go to caniuse.com and we're going to type in Canvas. So as you can see, all of the current versions of our browsers, i.e. Edge, which is the new Microsoft browser, Firefox, Chrome, they all support it. There's one thing if you click on Show All, you will see that Internet Explorer did not support Canvas until IE9. So I assume that most people are on at least IE9 if they're using Internet Explorer. Um, However, just so you know, if somebody's using IE7, these tools won't work properly. Anyway, that's if you're looking to use an HTML5 feature and you want to know if it's supported across browsers these days. Most browsers support most HTML5. You can use that tool. All right, so let's get to work on our photo upload. So if we go to the lesson 6 folders, we're going to drop some files into our project. So this little plugin that we're using, HTML5 image upload, there's a JavaScript file, and we'll just copy and then paste that into here's our project that I've got up and running. We have our source main web apps, and then we have a JavaScript directory, and you can paste it in there. I've already done that. So all of our JavaScript lives here in the JS directory. We'll go back. There is a CSS, a style sheet for this plugin. Again, copy that, paste it into our web app CSS directory. So it lives here. Also, this plugin uses some special fonts, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these fonts come from Bootstrap. You'll recall we're using Bootstrap, and we haven't had to use any of the Bootstrap fonts. These fonts provide things, standard icons, and actually, why don't we look that up as well? Bootstrap fonts. So, here we go. Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. Topography. Here we go. That's not the one I want. I want the, sorry, bootstrap. They're actually called glyph icons. So you can see these fonts give us all kinds of things that are kind of buttons or things that we will use or people use frequently in web development. If you want to star something or add something, remove something, you can just create little icons very simply. Delete, OK, zoom in, zoom out. So these are all part of the Bootstrap package. We just haven't happened to use them yet. So I packaged them up in the lesson 6 folder. There's a folder called fonts. We'll just copy that whole folder. I'm going to put it in web app. So you'll paste it into web app, and then you'll see we've got our fonts directory here within our web app that has these glyph icons, these bootstrap icons for us. And we'll see them in action in a little bit. So we've taken our HTML5 plugin, image upload plugins, and now let's copy and paste the files that we're using for this lesson. This is our HTML page for the product. We can copy that in to, again, just goes in web app. It'll overwrite the one that's there. So if you recall from our last lesson, we just had 4 simple fields, and then we're going to add a couple more fields for our image upload. Then we'll take our product.js, the JavaScript file, and copy and paste that into the JS directory. And finally, we've got a new file, a new Java file, that is going to handle the photo upload on the server side. So it's called file upload.java. We'll copy that. And you're going to paste that into, you can either do it up here under Java resources, paste it into com global tech auction site, paste it there. You can also get at it down here. They're both linked in the project. All right, so we've got all our files in here. Let's start to walk through and see how all of this works. We'll start with our product.html. If you recall, actually, let's go to the top first. We're using Bootstrap. We've got our CSS for the auction site. We're adding a new style sheet for the HTML5 image upload. And we're also going to link in the JavaScript for HTML5 image upload. So we'll add those 2 lines so that we get the styling that we need and the functionality that we need for HTML5 image upload. If you recall, we set up a form that we have a name, a description, a listing start, a listing end. Now I'm adding a new row. I want this photo upload stuff to be on a separate row from the other controls. And I'm adding 2 new divs, 2 new blocks of code here. So this one will be on the left, and then it's call MD6, which means it'll take the left 6 columns, and then this will be the right 6 columns of that row. On the left side, I have just basically an empty div with an ID of photo upload. You can call that whatever you want. This is a special thing that you will need. Class equals drop zone. This is used by HTML5 image upload. It's expecting a div that has this class. And all of the functionality, when we set up a div with this class, we're basically saying this is going to be handled by this plugin, HTML5 image upload. We can set how big we want it to be. I'm just setting it to 400 pixels wide. Then inside this div, we put one input field of type file. So when you have an input field of type file, that allows you, when you click on that input field, it will pull up, you've seen it before, a little file explorer where you can browse through the files on your computer to pick a file to upload. So we'll see that in it works. So you'll basically need this little block of code to enable HTML5 image upload. Then on the right side of the screen, I've got a div, this div here, it's called show photo. After we upload the photo to our server, we're gonna go ahead and then show it over on the right side of the screen. And we're actually gonna be basically verifying that we uploaded it to the server, and then we're gonna be accessing it directly from the server after we upload it. So that's gonna go in this div. I'm also putting in a hidden input field with a name of photo. So when we save our product, we want to know what file, what photo is associated with this product. And so just like up here, we have inputs that have a name of, name, description, listing start, listing end. This has a name of photos. So this will allow us to store the file name of the photo in the database. So this is all we need on the HTML side to upload our photo. Now let's go to the JavaScript side. So if you recall, on the JavaScript side, we have our document ready function. I'm adding one new um, click handler. So on the div that we created, photo upload, that's this one here, you just call HTML5 image upload. That basically says HTML to this plugin, you handle the click events, all the events on this div. When you start image upload, HTML5 image upload, you pass in several parameters. We can control how big the photos are that are stored on our server. Basically, you don't want somebody to upload an enormous photo. It will take up tons of resources, bandwidth going up and back from the server. It will take up disk space and things like that. So we can limit the photo size. So I've just arbitrarily set it to 400 by 300. We're using Canvas. Remember that HTML5 Canvas tools. True, I believe you can set this to false and it will use some older technologies to manage the photos. But as we saw, most browsers should support this, so we're going to use Canvas functionality. This is probably the most important parameter. When we submit our photo, it's going to call a web service, just like our other ones have. When we create a product, we're sending a post message to auction site, web API, product. So I'm going to set up a new web service at auction site, web API. I'm going to call it photo upload. So we just need to tell this plugin what web service to call when we're submitting our photo. And we're going to set Ajax to true. We're going to make an Ajax call, just like we've been doing here. So we want to do that. You could also use this, if you set this to false, that will handle if you want to just put this on a form submit. So when you fill in all the data on a form and you click a submit button, it will go up, it will send up the photo with all of the other form data. But we want to do Ajax true here. The last parameter that we're passing in is actually a little a callback function. So after HTML5 image uploads calls our web service, it's going to get some data back, and we'll see what comes back. Then we want to do something. Basically, the photo has been stored on the server. We get, you'll see here, a file name back from the plugin, actually from our web service. And then what we're going to do is we want to show the photo that was just uploaded on the screen for the user. So I have this show photo div that we created right here. Then what I'm going to do, I'm using jQuery. I get the file name back from our web service. I'm going to empty out this div. If there's a photo there already, clear it out. And then I'm going to add to this div an image tag with an ID called new image. And then the source for that image tag is the file name. So basically we're saying show the image uh, from the URL that we get back from the server. And then if you remember, we also put in this little hidden input field. We're going to populate that with the file name. So this is another jQuery selector. So it basically says jQuery, look for an input with name of photo and set its value to the file name that we got back from from our web service. So that's what we need to do on the client side to upload the photo. Now we'll walk through all of this and hopefully it will make more sense as we go through and see everything that's happening. So we'll pick our photo, we'll process it, and then this plugin is going to call this web service. So next we need to create our Java web service. So we're doing that in this file upload class. So we're creating a new class. We're using some new tools here. So we've got some new imports that we probably haven't seen before. We can do some work with 2D graphics and 2D images. Java has tools built in to work with graphics and doing things like resizing or changing formats or things like that. We're going to be using an input stream. Basically what happens is um, the photo is going to come across from the client to the server as just a long string of text. And basically all of the data for the photo is going to be in the sent across as just a long text string. So we've got to handle it that way. Doing things with input streams and then different things like that. So let's look at what we've got. So we're setting up a new web service location. If you remember here in our product class, so if you call web API, let's go here, auction site web API product, it will go to this file. If we call auction site web API photo, path photo, it will go to this class. So photo upload, here's the method that will be called when we access that web service. So again, this is a post to photo upload, and it's going to return JSON. We're returning JSON because that's what the plugin expects to get back, and we'll look at that in just a second. So what we're going to get in is, like I said, a string that contains all of the image data. So it's going to take that photo, break it into a long string, and that's what our input is. So the first thing that we do is it's coming across in UTF-8 format. We need to decode it. And so this little decode method basically when it comes across, it has to be encoded into a safe format to go across the web, and then we are decoding it back to a standard UTF-8 string. So that's just a little bit that we have to do to get it into a format that we can work with. So what comes up here is actually the file name in that long string of bytes. We actually see I'm going to set a breakpoint here because we're going to want that. A long string of bytes, and the first few bytes are give some information about the file. I think it's actually the file name and some other things. So to get the actual image, we want to skip past that the file name and that early information, and just get we're just interested in the actual image, not the file name or anything like that. So we're going to go look for a comma in here. And everything after the comma is the actual image that we're interested in. So basically we're going to take everything after the comma and store that in this string, image data bytes. So now we're going to create an input stream from these data bytes. So um, we need to convert this to a byte array input stream. Um, a lot of this may not make complete sense, but basically we've got a text string that we want to convert into an array of bytes. And so um, we've got these data type converters that will take the image data string, which is readable plain text, and convert it into binary uh, byte array. So basically what we have here at this point is this is what you would expect to see in a JPEG file. This is the data for a picture or an image. So now we've actually got the JPEG image. All of this work up to here was to basically get this string that came across to us and convert it back into a JPEG, the format that the image will be stored in. We're going to give our image an extension of JPEG. And now what we need to do is we need to save it on the web server. So the file lived on our user's either phone or laptop or whatever. Now we've uploaded it and we're going to save it on the server so that we can um, send it back to whenever somebody loads this auction product page, we'll send the image back to them as well so that we can show the image on there. So we need to actually save it on the server. Here's how we're going to do that. The web server, you don't know exactly where the files will be on the server. On your development machine, you could say you may be used to saying something like store something on the C drive in the images directory. It doesn't work like that for a web server. The web server is running, and we're not sure where. So we're going to make a call to the system get property Catalina base. Catalina is an environment variable used by Tomcat. And this basically tells us where um, Tomcat is serving our website from. So in this case, we'll step back here for a second. We have installed Tomcat. So we've got our web server out here. We've got our project, and the project files live, they're actually stored in Git, if you recall. So they're, in my case, out here. If I go to C, users, G52, that's my user ID, Git, auction site, source, main, web app. So actually all my files for our website are here. But when we are running with Tomcat, when we say publish or start the web server or whatever, it's taking all of this and it's actually copying it. And so you'll sometimes see if we make an update to something, it will say republish, publish, or resynchronize, or something like that. For example, if I just change a file here and save it, we'll watch down here. It'll flip republish, and then we can right-click here to say publish, and now it's synchronized. So basically, it's taking all of the files that are here, and it's copying it to a special location. When we deploy this auction site to a web server that's running on our web hosting service, it will have Tomcat running, and that will be running in another location. Actually, I can take you through that as well. Do I have PuTTY installed here? Yes. So let me get the web's hosting IP address here for web hosting. I just want you to understand how, so in our case, when we publish this, it's going to go to a web host, and we're going to yours may be different, but this is a web host that I am using for several websites. Goes out here. Yes, we'll trust that. Root. All right. So on this server, I happen to have Tomcat running on user local easy, share easy. Oh, let's see. Share. Oh, I have removed Tomcat. Sorry, it used to live out here. Anyway, Tomcat would be running out at user local easy, or it may be that you have um, a web app running here in, oops, out here in www. So when you deploy it to the server, it's actually going to be running out of home, RLMS, ZW, www. I just want to show you that you don't know where the website is going to be running from. Tomcat manages that. And in our case, we saw that our source code is here, taken care of by Git. Where it actually ends up running is in my case in projects, because that's what when we started JavaEE, we're running out of projects. And then metadata, this is just where it puts it plugins. We'll go down here to org eclipse wst server core temp 0 wtp web apps auction site. So this is actually where, when we're running here on our machine, it's actually running from here, from this directory. So when we call system get property Catalina base, it's going to actually tell us, it's going to give us back e colon projects metadata plugin da 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 temp 0, and then we're going to add on WTP web apps slash auction site, the name of the auction site. So to figure out where we're going to store this on the server, we call Catalina base, and then we're going to add on basically the name of the site that we know that this is the auction site application here. Then we want to create a special images directory here under auction site. Right now it doesn't exist. We just have our JavaScript, our CSS, our HTML pages. We're going to create an images directory, and that's where we're going to store the image. So we'll take that absolute path that we got, add images, and then a couple quick Java calls. We're going to see if that directory exists. If not, make that directory and find out how many files are in that location. This is just a simple way to make sure we have unique file names. So the first file is going to be called img image file count. So the first one will be file count image1.jpg. So we're going to store it in this crazy directory, images, image1.jpg. So here is where we want to put it on the server. I just wrote a quick little helper application called write to file that will take. Remember, we've got this stream that has all the image data, and now we have the location. And we're basically just going to write it in 1K blocks. We're just basically creating a new file, writing the data, and then closing the file. So it's going to save the file on our server. When that's done, we're going to return again. Remember, our HTML5 image upload plugin is expecting JSON to come back. So we've seen a couple different ways to send back JSON. Here, you remember, if we have a JSON object, we can just return that object. Here I'm showing you how we can manually build a JSON string. What the plugin is expecting is an object status equal to success. It wants to know the file name, which would just be this image1.jpg. And then it also wants to know the URL, which in this case is the same. So we're basically going to send back, here's the file this is where we saved that image on our server. So it's just building this quick JSON string, and we use the backslash to escape these quotes. So then we say return response, okay, successful, and here's the data we're sending back, and then fire off that response. So that's what we need to do on the server. So now basically we've called HTML5 image upload. When that's complete, it will call this function for us, and the data will be this JSON that we're sending back. So now we're going to look in name. The plugin actually does a little bit of massaging. So here we send back um, file name, and then by the time it reaches us, it's actually stored in a field called name. But then we can get the file that we need. So that's a lot of stuff. Why don't we step through this and see how it all works together? I'm going to go ahead and start my web server, start in debug mode so that we can see the Java code. So that's up and running. Now I'm going to load the auction site product page, and you'll see we've got those 4 fields now. This is that class drop zone with 400. This is that div that we set up for our control. And it manages this little background text, drop your image here or click to add one. So remember we had that input field that was of type file. So if we click on this, we get a file browser. So we can browse around on our computer and look for an image. I've got one here. Actually, the other thing I want to show you is if we pull up a browser, I'm going to go to my desktop. You can also, with this plugin, drag and drop. Either way works. Drop it on here. Boom. So as you can see, this is a big image. Remember we talked about how we don't want big images on our server. So what the plugin does is it's going to give us a 400 by 300 image. And if you remember, we talked about those fonts, those glyph icons. These are them. So the plugin gives us zoom in, or full size, zoom out, and then we can cancel if we decide, oh, that's not the file I wanted. We'll just say cancel, and then let's say, oh, okay. And then when we're done, we click the little green button. So I'm actually going to zoom this in, and you can see this works really slick. And you can also move the file. Again, this is what the plugin gives us, some pretty slick functionality here. I'm going to size it, let's say, okay, something like that. I'm going to open up my developer tools here, so we can see what we've got. And I'm going to set a breakpoint here. So we're not going to see, we just know when we click this, it's going to call HTML5 image upload, and we'll hit the breakpoint on the Java code. I'm going to hit a breakpoint, set a breakpoint here on the callback after we're done processing. So we've got our image. We're going to go ahead and click OK. And you can see we hit our photo upload method and the image data. Remember we said we've got this huge string that comes in. So remember we've got that extra stuff that we didn't want at the beginning that we want to get rid of. So everything up to the first comma is stuff that we don't want. It says, it's an image, it's PNG, base 64. We don't care about any of that. I think this is our comma, %2c. Actually, once we do the URL decode, we'll be able to see it. So this is the data that comes in. I'm going to decode it because it's in HTML encodes certain characters like quotes and commas and things like that. So I'm going to step over this. So here are our image data. Now you see, yep. So starts with data, image, PNG, base 64. That stuff I don't care about, all the way up to the comma. Starting with that I, capital VB, that is the actual image data. So we strip off everything up to the comma, and now this is the actual image data. We're going to convert it into a byte stream, and again now it's it's almost 88,000 bytes of data. We'll go here. Remember, we'll get our absolute path, which is what we said. That's that projects, metadata, plugins, org, eclipse, WTP, web apps, auction site. That's where we want to store it. In the images directory, it's going to make that directory because it doesn't exist. So file count is 0. There aren't any files there yet. So we'll make this first one. The file name is going to be called image1.jpg. So it's going to go to this whole long crazy location, oops, and then image1.jpg. We're going to save it to the file, and I will show you right away here. I'll go back. You can see there is now an images directory, and we've saved an image there. So it's in images, image1.jpg. We're going to build our response back. I'm going to let this rip. And you can see we hit our breakpoint back on the client side. We've uploaded it. We've stored the file on the server. The data that comes back, we have the element is what we'll be accessing, and then we'll see that we can access it with so data element, and then if we go to name, we should be able to see. I don't know where that's stored exactly, but anyway. So we're going to just basically write a little, remember we have that product result. That's where we can tell people that we saved our product or loaded a product. In this case, we're going to say the photo was successfully uploaded. And I'll step over this. The file name, as you can see, is, I'm adding images because we stored it in the images directory, and images, image1.jpg. That's our file name. So now, if I create an image tag and set the source attribute to images image1.jpg, I'm just going to let this rip now. You can see it populated this on the right side with the photo that was uploaded. You can see, we'll inspect this. So you can see we've got an image tag. The source is images.image1. We're pulling it from the server. It's exactly what we uploaded. Here's this hidden input field. It's hidden so we don't see it, but we want to be able to now, when we save this product, we want to save the photo, the file name of the photo that goes with this product listing. So what we'll do now, I'm going to close this out. We've uploaded a file. I'm going to go ahead and test photo. I'm going to save this so we can see that we get the photo name. Description, testing, photo, upload. We'll set our start and end dates. Today and tomorrow. Then I say create product. I've set a breakpoint here. So we hit our breakpoint. I added here in our product JSON, I added a new attribute called photo. Remember, that has to match the name here in our input field. But as long as we do that, the Moxie will automatically map for us. So we've got photo here. So when I call create product, you will see that I have, the file name comes in. So we can store that in the database as well, along with everything else. So that is the basic functionality for uploading a photo. You can see here if I want to trash this or do a different one, I can pick a different photo. I don't think I have another one here, but we could, here we'll change this a little bit. We'll just save this little chunk over here. So now you'll see this get erased and updated. All right, we'll cut this loose here. You can see that we've got the new photo here, and now it is image 2. Over here, you can see we've got 2 images stored in this images directory. And if we were to call create product now, it would save the photo associated with this product, with this particular product, is image 2. So that's the basics of how you work with images using this HTML5 image upload plugin and Java. And we'll build out more functionality with images and those things as we go